in terms of insurance and better offering in terms of interest rates and all those kind of things that we're building towards to make this more affordable, easier, and a better experience for all customers out there.
One of the basic challenges the company faces is the low penetration of vehicles and car density in Africa. Unlike every other continent, the African automotive market is relatively small. For a continent with over 1 billion inhabitants, it only occupies 1% of the global new vehicle sales market.
We have a few challenges in Africa. One is a very low credit penetration. As I said, banks, financiers are very reluctant to finance assets because they don't understand vehicles. And the second thing is a very low car density in the African environment. So for just some stats, for a continent with over 1 billion inhabitants, it only occupies 1% of the global new vehicle sales market. So, we are a very big continent, and we're lagging in terms of new vehicle sales. Then if you have a look at the car density, we about 44 vehicles per 1,000 adults in Africa. Now, that compared to the rest of like Europe and the rest of the world that runs about 180 vehicles per 1,000 adults. Now, also bear in mind that some of these countries like America, Europe, have very good transport systems, where Africa is obviously, as we know, it's lacking. So in terms of that, I think our car density and our credit penetration together is not conducive to a very good market, and that's a gap that we're trying to fulfill.
Looking forward to getting established in other African countries, regardless of their different operational rules, AutoCheck looks forward to harnessing the largely untapped potential in the automotive sector to be a final frontier for automotive growth.
We've established ourselves in 8 countries. That is obviously it's Egypt, Morocco, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and Uganda. What we wanted to do is stabilize those countries, okay, and through the main hubs or the main centers, which is around the economic hub. As we build out our offering, we would obviously go into the broader market in those countries and build out our customer base through that. Right now, we have a very diverse and obviously big customer base. I think, as I said, we partner with over 2,000. We've got a footprint of over 2,000 dealers that we deal with, and we list a substantial number of those dealers' vehicles on our marketplace. So, from a customer point of view, I think there's obviously the potential in Africa is almost unlimited at this stage, because there's no real solution other than the one that we offer.
With the global value chain already undergoing a shift, AutoCheck not only makes mobility seamless for Africans, but also helps to increase the economic growth and value of the African continent. Welcome back. For those just joining us in this episode, we are focusing on the automotive industry in Africa. Now, even though there is no accurate data on the number of tricycles in Nigeria, some estimates put the number at over 1 million. And almost all of them are used for commercial purposes to convey passengers from one point to another, and sometimes they are used to convey goods from one point to another. Now, generally, these tricycles run on petrol. But a Nigerian man looks forward to making the mode of transportation electrical. Let's see how far he has gone in his feats.
The difference between this and the regular one is the regular one uses gasoline. That's one. Then secondly, the regular one costs more to operate. Because on the average, a user, a driver who drives a tricycle, for instance, spends about 2,000 naira every day on fueling, which is equivalent with the same day, that is equivalent to if the driver was using our electric version, he will spend 800 naira instead, which is at over 60% cut in the cost. What Innoson is doing is something great, and that's something that we should encourage more people to come into. My name is Chukwemeka Eze, and I'm a co-founder of Revive Earth Limited.
Tricycles are simply ubiquitous in the country. There is hardly any part of Nigeria where you don't find tricycles because it has become an important and integral mode of transport in Africa's largest economy. Now, these tricycles run on petrol, but one young Nigerian engineering graduate is on a mission to convert petrol-driven tricycles in the country into electric-powered ones, thereby cutting out the emission from tricycles in the country and at the same time save owners and drivers from spending on petrol.
It has been a dream, a vision to be part of the energy industry. And then the entire vision came with who I've always been. From childhood, I've always been enthusiastic about how stuff works. I always wanted to get hands-on, like to play a role, and like having that feeling of a creator. Revive Earth Limited is a startup, an e-mobility startup that is based in Enugu, Nigeria. And we're focused on making vehicles that are running on gasoline to run on electricity, on pure electricity. And we are doing this with existing vehicles. So we take existing vehicles and we convert them to electric. Existing vehicles are powered by gasoline. And then we have also come up with a kit that can be used to do this. And we are training people already on these skills so that we can have these agents scattered everywhere who are helping us with this retrofitting instead of building factories everywhere.
Learning online and seeing the innovation from the existing electric vehicle organizations, coupled with the depreciating rate in the petrol reserve in Nigeria and the unannounced opportunities in the country, Chukwemeka saw the future wave in electric vehicles and ventured into it.
Most of the activities in school were not hands-on. They were like mostly theoretical. Even when we go to lab, we were giving scores. We were giving values to go and plot graph and stuff like that. It didn't involve holistic research, and I didn't know what holistic research was. My heart was yearning for it. So, and I was doing it without even knowing what it was. So I would engage in projects, build circuits that just to feel it, see it work, and have the feeling that good feeling that I've been able to create something. I always wanted to create things. So right from my third year, it was my second year that I got my own computer. Then I started digging deeper and deeper and deeper through the internet, YouTube, blogs, and all of those things. I started seeing the works of Tesla, the works of all these automobile companies in America, in the whole of Europe. And I was fascinated by the electric vehicles. Then the electric vehicles were already ubiquitous. Tesla was doing a great deal of work, and I saw their work as some serious innovation, something that would be the new world, the new way of transportation. And I quickly saw that there's a future of transportation in it, in the sense that it will be easier to build a robot car that is run on electricity than the one that runs on gasoline.
Seeing himself as a key player in the industry by bringing people out of poverty, Chukwemeka started by building a power automation tool that helps to optimize the energy consumption of solar systems.
Where I started was to build power automation tools that just help to optimize the energy consumption of solar systems or even regular electricity systems. So that if a consumer were to plug these systems to their houses, they will not have much difficulty in switching from one source to another. And considering that there will be many sources, so that If I wanted to switch from solar to NEPA, I'll do it when I need to do it, when I know that I'm maximizing either of the two. So if there is peak sunlight, I'll switch to solar.
Before conversion of each tricycle, Chukwuemeka and his team ensures that the tricycles are in good working condition to guarantee that the new components added to the new model are fit for people who make use of it.
Inside there, they make ready every kit. There are some components that we need, not just the electric motor or the battery. There's the controller. I told you already, is like an inverter. It's essentially an inverter. So all the testing that connects these components to the electric motor, that connects the battery to the electric motor using these components, they are all tested here inside before they are brought out. So before a vehicle is ready to be worked on, we assess everything. We assess the state of we lose the engine entirely, take it apart and study everything and be sure that the integrity of the components are still intact. If there's any component we need to move out of the engine, we'll move it. Even if those ones are not necessarily the ones that we will remove entirely. There might be some parts that are weak already, like some gears that have eaten up, their teeth have eaten up, or the fiber will not be very effective anymore. So we replace all of those components on the engine and wash it well, clean it, and sometimes we repaint it as well. And then as well, the vehicle body, because it has been exposed and used for a long time, we also clean up the engine, the entire vehicle, and then make it ready for some fabrication, because there are some fabrication work, some welding, cutting, drilling that goes on inside it before we bring the kit out. So all those like where the battery will sit and where the controller will sit, how the electric motor will couple to the new transmission that we're going to produce after the cleaning, all those things are arranged on the vehicle. The major components in the new system is both the electric motor and the battery. The battery being the power source now, and the electric motor being the engine. So everything that is attached to it is what helps to take the power from the battery in the way it needs to the electric motor, and to ensure that there is adequate control. If I want to speed up, I'm able to do that. If I want to reverse, I'm able to do that. If I want to brake, I'm able to do that, and all of those things. So what we take out essentially is everything that has to do with the combustion system, like the piston and everything that is attached with it, and then all those timing systems to make sure that to connect the ignition, that's the spark plug system, to time it with the engine, the piston, the rotation, and so on. All of those things are removed.
For electric cars to work in any country, then electricity has to be readily available. Unfortunately, Nigeria can't boast of having a constant supply of electricity. In Nigeria, almost 80% of those with access to electricity power gets less than 12 hours a day, and about 47% of the population don't even have access to power at all. And this challenge has made Revive Earth Limited to come up with an electricity charging infrastructure that is not dependent on the current electricity generation in Nigeria.
We've come up with a system now that is not going to be so heavily dependent on the present generated electricity for the country as a whole. We're looking at going into solar and all those other combined renewable energy sources that we can harness and use it to charge, to power the charging stations. We call our charging stations, instead of having large charging stations where you have like multiple stands inside one, we have a simpler version where we
Law is the highest reason embedded by nature, which permits what should be done and forbids the contrary. Then here is the question. Why are we lawyers? It is a desire of every lawyer to live greatly in the law because there is a sense in which your determination can be relevant if society cannot interpret it. And the crucial audit of the character of the human experience in our society validates the foregoing. The aforementioned is supported by the renowned Judex, Oliver Wendell Holmes, who said a man may live greatly in the law as well as elsewhere, that there as well as elsewhere, his thoughts may find unity in an infinite perspective, that there as well as elsewhere, he may wreak himself upon life, may drink the bitter cup of heroism, and may wear his heart after the unattainable. So if we agree to the premise that it is the desire of every lawyer to live greatly in the law, then we should all agree to the fact that we are lawyers for a reason. That essence must not elude us. The fulcrum of our endeavor is to see the manifest operation of the rule of law, justice and equity in our society. No society can thrive without the doctrine of equity and justice ingrained into the fabric of its fundamental operations. Lawyers are therefore saddled with the sacred responsibility to work as ministers in the temple of justice to enhance the prospect of society. So that responsibility reposed on us. It is a further duty to live greatly in the law, uphold the tenets and ethos of the profession whilst paying observance to the code of conduct and etiquette therein. We owe our society, our respective society, a duty to comport ourselves, undertake to protect the most vulnerable amongst men, and advise our clients within the bounds of law in the context of uprightness, integrity, and morality. We are role models in the society. We are accorded this respect not because we are better than the rest of society, but because our training is a noble one, and same is held in high esteem. We are expected to be the outcome of a certain refinement that is the expectation of society, and this is valid. We are plagued today in the profession. We are churning out conduct unbecoming of the legal profession, and it appears the actors of impropriety in our profession do not care we are losing it. It is sad some lawyers cannot separate themselves from improper conduct and the whirlwind of temptation sweeping through the stratosphere as they open up themselves to all kinds of shameful temptation and activities in our social space. Lawyers were caught on camera fighting, cursing, and pulling down workstations at the NBA conference last year. It is a betrayal of the truths of our conscience that some of our colleagues have developed a ruthless obsession to undermine our profession. I will therefore advocate that we go back to our original calling. We must live greatly in the law. We must drink the bitter cup of heroism. Now is the time. We cannot afford to crawl under the onslaught of mischief makers and collapse under the weight of the wicked. We must live up to the standard of the profession as set up for us by our progenitors, as our collective allegiance is to this society and the well-being of its citizens. Counsel, let's join hands together to bequeath a formidable bar to our children. This appeal is critical to me as a concerned member of the bar. We cannot watch our profession collapse under the abyss. We must rescue the profession and all our members from shame. It is critical. It is the duty call of the now. I shall go to Rabbi J.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, and use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Using crude method to measure your crude oil supply leads to barefaced robbery. Crude measures, crude thievery. What's the actual quantity of crude oil produced from the Nigerian soil by the Nigerian oil companies daily, and what is the actual quantity sold? There's currently a squabble between the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Make I no use tongue, cut my teeth. I will call them Commission and Authority. The squabble is over who has the statutory mandate to issue export permit at the crude oil terminal. That's after President Tinubu has issued presidential directive on the delineation of the regulatory oversight between the commission and the authority. Remember, Buhari also once issued same directive. But just follow me quickly. By virtue of Section 7EE of the PIA, that's the Petroleum Industry Act, the Commission shall have the power to issue certificate of quantity and quality to exporters of crude oil, natural gas, and petroleum products from integrated operations and crude oil export terminals. While by virtue of Section 174, nobody shall undertake the activities of establishing, constructing, or operating a terminal for exporting crude oil or petroleum product except authorized by the authority. So you see overlap. So, Omo, if I tell you how people take carve-out stake for themselves in the various versions of the Petroleum Industry Bill before its final passage, you will understand why this crisis and overlapping function between the Commission, who is in charge of crude, and the authority, who is in charge of refined product, would have been avoided if our crude oil production and sales measurement were digitally automated, as it is done today in modern oil countries like Brazil, Kuwait, Saudi, and co. Remember, right from when oil was first drilled in Nigeria in 1958, our production, sales, measurement, and bill of quality and quantity has been through crude and manual process. The vessel go come load products, carry through water, go France, Poland, Switzerland, England, anywhere. Our DPRO officials go enter plane, fly at the expense of the company that is buying the crude. Go the country, go stay for hotel, they wait for the ship to berth before they will now measure the crude when the ship they offload. That's ship, the crude ready carry from Nigeria. They call it output measurement. What if the vessel or ship from water offloads some product somewhere before it reach where they go? How our testing official go take no? Anyway, that's the cocoa of the matter. Ask any former DPRO staff to give you our production and sale bill of quantity and quality from at least 5, 6 years, 7 years back. They will tell you that rain destroy all the hard copies because I'm paper. Meanwhile, Saudi Aramco, Qatar, Dubai, all of these countries have digitally automated theirs and can trace their oil, even the last drop, to anywhere in the world. Here, we are still fighting over who should measure or issue bill of lading. I'm sorry for us. I can tell you, though, that those oil companies buying our crude will never be happy that our government and the Upstream Commission is streamlining our crude oil production and sales measurement under one bracket and automating same, as it is reducing how much oil they can steal from us. So make we shine our eye and leave all of this quarrel. According to Industry Watcher, for anybody to be able to issue accurate measurement on export permit in the modern day upstream or midstream operation, he or she must be part of the production value chain in the upstream, as the function of the upstream donated by Section 7EE of the Act is absolutely the end of the unbroken chain of the contingent operational functions of the crude oil operations at the terminal. I know say that one are big English, but if you take time, you understand what I'm saying, that the volume indicated on the quoted certificate or on the bill of sale or bill of quantity must be derived from the technical allowable rate from the producer's oil well after maximum efficiency rate test has been conducted by the commission. So it's a chain. If you break them, that means there will be room for manipulation. And so to ensure that the chain from the maximum efficiency rate test to the volume of crude oil produced by the well is unbroken, in the interest of curbing oil revenue leakage, the federal government under Buhari and subsequently now Tinubu insisted that the commission should be the one in charge of crude oil terminal. But should not just be in charge of a crude oil terminal, but should also measure and issue certificate of quality and quantity to exporters of crude oil for tidy records and avoidance of hearsay record keeping. So if you ask me, all the time when at least almost 7 agencies, they like cargo surveyors, DPR, NNPC, Navy and Co, they terminal, where these foreign companies still not taking our crude oil, without also knowing the exact quantity. After all, the oil companies were the ones providing the meter with which they were buying the oil. They were the ones calibrating the same meters as the original equipment manufacturer, OEM, owes us no obligation, even if the meters were manipulated. And they were also the one determining the quantity they load through our outlet measuring process. Who do us? Must we allow these things? I will therefore advocate until we digitally automate our crude oil production and sales from end to end and reduce human interference in the production and sale process like most oil countries in the world do, and ensure that the OEM, that's the original equipment manufacturers, are accountable also to us in the event of defective and manipulative measuring device, we continue to quarrel over little fries of pipeline vandalism, while the big monster of oil theft from our terminals continue unabated in active connivance of our personnel and other agencies. More so, if we digitally automate our process, it will put more money in our coffers. As our country also, with more money, will be able to rehabilitate our moribund refineries for export. And there will be enough responsibilities to go around, as the authority will be in charge of export terminals for export of refined products, while the commission will focus on export terminal for crude. There will also be little or no need for us to be looking for who to protect our crude oil pipeline. I be the hearsay agencies, they fight for Kuwait or for Saudi Arabia on who should measure sales or who should account for this thing. Because their process is digitally controlled from end to end, from anywhere they are in the world, by the press of the button, they know what is happening. Anyway, should be a fine place to leave it for now. Let's listen to your response in our comment sections on all our various social media showing on your platform. Please like and share so we can collectively reduce the crude way of stealing our crude oil and the crude way we do things here. Now rats, when they inside house, they tell the one when they outside, say food they inside. No foreigner fit cheat us if they no get collaboration from our people. See you next week.
The morning of March 12, 2021, chaos at the Federal College of Forestry Mechanization in Mando area of Kaduna State, northwest Nigeria. The night before, armed gunmen popularly known as bandits had stormed the tertiary institution, abducting 39 students. After initially releasing the students in batches, the bandits eventually released all the students on May 5, 2021. They spent 55 days in captivity. It's been over 2 years now since that incident happened, but the school has not remained the same again. Some of the affected students did not return to the school. Many have now abandoned the hostel.
To some of us who have opportunity to interact with the bandits during the process of negotiation for the release of our children.
Friday, Sani's daughters were among the 39 abducted students back in 2021. He says even though one of them has come back to the school to complete her studies, she's yet to recover from the traumatic experience.
She came back one day and told me that, Dad, we got a news that spies came and they learned there are those that spy for bandits to the school to come and spy the environment and see if there are areas they can pass through to take students. So the first thing, I was in Abuja when she called me. I now quickly told her, please go back home and be coming from home to the school for the meantime. And out of fear, I started sorting for off-campus until something dawned on me that there is need for me to look for the advice of the management of the school. When I got there, they told me that there won't be any reason for me to fear, that I should allow her to return to the hostel. There are staffs living in the quarters there, and the hostel is just very close to staff quarters and all of that. So I came back, telling her to return to the hostel. It was a battle. I said, Daddy, I know what I'm going through. If anybody just managed to knock my door, I jump from bed. So that I now told her, okay, what you do, this is the school, this is where your counselor is. Always meet your counselor for more counseling processes and other things. And at the end of the day, she's okay. And in few, maybe by next year, she'll be graduating. Now, the fear in educational institution generally is that we don't know when this will stop, though it's minimal now. As at the 2021, it was high. It's minimal now, but nobody knows the next dimension that they may come. That is just the truth about it.
Just as the country was coming to terms with the brazen attack on the College of Forestry, another attack happened at Greenville University, a private university also in Kaduna State. Armed bandits attacked the school on the night of April 20th, 2021, abducting at least 20 students. 3 of the students would later be killed before the bandits freed others months later after collecting ransom payments. Today, the school is like a ghost village, completely deserted. The institution has now relocated to a temporary campus in the city. It's difficult to tell when academic activities will resume at the permanent site here.
So now, insecurity has forced children and parents in the first place not to even allow their children to go to schools that are not secured. Insecurity has also put fear in the minds of the children that even if they are allowed to go, they don't know what is going to happen. So sometimes they just look for some flimsy excuse and don't go. Then insecurity have successfully shut down schools in many villages. And you know, like the Chibok girls who were about to write exams and the evil people came. Now these ones, it is not even about exams. The school have been shut down. Some have relocated to nearby places, but only children of serious-minded parents. But the larger population, it's like, okay, you've helped us, not going to school. The only challenge they are facing now is that, okay, there is no school and there's no farm also. Because as schools are shut down due to insecurity, people cannot also go to farm due to insecurity. And then hunger is hitting them at home, and it's forcing them to go into so many things that you cannot even imagine.
Scared of coming under attacks as well, some other schools in remote locations in Kaduna, like this one known as Faith Academy, have shut down and moved their students, leaving behind massive edifices.
One will wonder why the students become the target of banditry and kidnapping in Nigeria, and that also is now weakening the educational standard, is now discouraging people. A situation where you get admission, you are now afraid of going to the hostel. Rather, you have to look for house around that institution or around the institution. Then, by that, coming from the house to the school also is even a problem, because you have to be looking left and right, not knowing who is the next person to you. These are issues, these are challenges that we are having. Entering vehicle to travel to Bandogri for maybe studies, or maybe going to Adamawa, going to Zamfara, so going to Sokoto is now becoming a problem in the nation. So the only thing that we see also parents doing is to look for an institution close to them, whereby they can just maybe, while going out in the morning, they will drop their child and return the same child. And you know that a child that is not within the school premises may lack concentration, and by that, you may not come out well as expected. So these are challenges that we are facing, or the education is facing in Nigeria now, that students no longer have confidence, unlike before, where you will send your child to a school far away from you, and you sleep with your two eyes closed that he or she is secured. It's no longer like that. So these are the challenges that we have in the educational sector now, and it's not helping us.
Bethel Baptist High School, also in Kaduna State, is now one big deserted community. On the night of July 5th, 2021, several gunmen invaded the school and kidnapped 121 students, taking them into the forest. It would take several months and millions of naira in ransom payment before the bandits would release the students. The last student in captivity only just got freed November 2nd, 2023. 2 years and 4 months after the mass abduction. But since that incident, the school has been abandoned. The management now uses a temporary location for the school.
You needed to see this place before now, okay, or maybe before the incident that happened on the 5th of July 2021. This place was so clean, so tidy, so a very serene environment for one to be. But now you can see how it has become so bushy that a lot of the places had to be converted to farms to reduce the bush. You've gone around, you've seen the football pitch, how it has been converted to a farmland. The whole other courts have been converted to farmlands. All these are just to make sure that the place is maintained, to reduce the bush. It has affected education, particularly the school. A lot of money was spent that we cannot actually say the amount that was given to the bandits, how the staff also suffered, how everyone, in fact, most of the students, some of them didn't come back again. They went to schools, not that were not actually their first choice. Some, I cannot say whether some will finally become dropouts or whatever. For let's add example, one of the students that has not yet come back, what do you think happened to his education? He does not continue with education. Now he can be classified under dropout. So that's part of the effects. Security has become so devastating in our nation that education is receiving its own quota of the effects of this insecurity.
We spend gathering money and getting support from spirited individuals, huge money. I can quote that we spent over 250 million naira to get those students of Baptist High School, Kujama, to come back. That is just one. That's just one. And you don't talk about the students of the school in, because for us in Kaduna State, the other school that suffered similar challenge was the school in Awong. And then you keep talking about other places that had to shut down schools completely due to this insecurity. Now, there was nothing we could do than first to encourage parents not to give up, not to allow the insecurity discourage them from sending their children to school. Because as I've earlier explained, it is a strategy of terrorists, it's a strategy of enemies of education to discourage and stop young children from acquiring education. And we must not give in. So some other communities that are having similar challenge, what we normally do is to encourage them to either move their children to a safer school or to a safer community, because we have nearby communities where schools are within the city, not outside where you are afraid your daughter may be taken away, and so on and so forth.
Nigeria has among the worst out-of-school children rate in the world. A 2022 UNESCO report puts the figure at approximately 20 million, and the majority of them are in the north of the country. Attacks on schools are only worsening the situation.
The place of education in our community today is facing a very serious, I could say multifaceted challenges. You look at it from security, you look at it from the poverty around, you look at it from all the troubles and all this. So education seems to be like it is dying at a time that the world is growing through education, because science and technology is the order of the day. And if your child is not educated, you can imagine what he will be, or you can ask yourself, where will he be fit to serve in the future? And in Nigeria, especially in the northwest Nigeria, we are thinking that all is well, all is not well, because this large percentage of young children who may not have certificate in the next 5 years or 10 years, who will have no knowledge to even relate with the outside world in the next few years, then they will be easily and cheap for bandits, terrorists, or every extremist group to recruit them and say, oh, come, the society is not giving you what you want, come, let's fight them. But the agenda is not come, let's fight them. The agenda is to just destroy everything about the society.
A report by the United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, indicates that over 11,000 schools were closed in 2020 due to a series of armed attacks in some parts of Nigeria. It says the country's northwest region accounted for 76% of the attacks, and in 2021 alone, no less than 25 schools were attacked. All of this, the report says, has led to increased school dropout.
So there is need for government to either vote special funds for security of educational institutions or provide security. Let there be proper security installations in all educational institutions. Just imagine bandit entering Nigeria Defense Academy. You can now see how sophisticated these people are. Not to talk of ordinary institutions that is maybe civilian base. So how will you contain that kind of people? So there is need for government to come in. So without that, there is fear, because we can never tell the next dimension that these people will come up with.
The bandit has successfully created fear in the minds of many parents. Government must get people to work along with her in educating, sensitizing, advocating, mobilizing people to say, no, let's not give up. Let's not give up. Let's not give up. Let's send our children to school. Because when we allow this thing to continue for another 5 years, then the out-of-school number will triple instead of reducing. But that's what the enemy of education wants, and he seems to be gaining ground. And then there's poverty in the land. So he's succeeding faster than we can even imagine. But we will not give up. We'll do our best to reduce the gap. But I can't lie to anybody that we can get it the way we want for now.
It will take a long time for things to return to normal in the schools that have suffered attacks. and perhaps much longer for those that have been abandoned for now.
One of the biggest challenge that terrorism have actually brought to the front burner in Nigeria is her dislike for education. The Boko Haram simply put that education is a sin or education is evil. Tells you a lot about the agenda of the terrorists and the way they want to ensure that they crumble education. In their own thinking, it is Western education that has brought about liberalization. It is Western education that has made children disobey their parents. It is Western education that has brought about the terrible way young people dress because they want to live in a free society. And you can go on and on and on and on and on and on. And so they begin to attack education. So when children are being kidnapped by bandits, apart from the idea of getting money as ransom, is also to help meet up the need of the bandit or the terrorists by ensuring that young children, especially young girls, are discouraged from education.
The government has since begun a 144.8 billion naira Safe School Initiative project in 18 states, covering at least 48 schools in each state this year. The project will cover a period of 3 years, but it remains to be seen what difference it will really make on the ground. Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the president of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Lagos Voices. I am Sydney Okafo. If given the opportunity to convert all your waste to a valuable resource, tell me, how hard or stressful will it be to keep your immediate environment clean? Your guess is as good as mine. There would be absolutely no waste littered around. Now, owing to the environmental hazard, poor waste disposal practice and management cost in Nigeria, an industrious woman, the Chief Executive Officer, Smart Gas, Yinka Opeke, has come up with an initiative that converts trash to gas. This is in collaboration with the chairman of Odi Olowo Ojuwoye Local Council Development Area, Honorable Ajala. Let's follow the story.
In Nigeria, flooding has been mainly attributed to human factors such as poor waste disposal, which in turn gives rise to malaria and other forms of diseases. To curb this environmental challenge that has constantly threatened human living conditions and livelihood, Smart Gas recently launched its Trash for Gas campaign in Odiolowo Ojuwoye Local Council Development Area of Mushin, an area of Lagos where proper waste disposal is a challenge. Smart Gas CEO Yinka Opeke says the aim of the campaign is to ensure that people living in slums stop indiscriminate dumping of refuse, especially in drainages, which can cause devastating impact of flooding in the rainy season.
The issue of flooding happened, a few months ago, and I remember that Governor Sanwo-Olu was talking to the areas that were most impacted, and was telling them that cleaning your environment is everybody's responsibility. In addition to other external factors that they have no control over, clogging of their drainages and their environment also contributes to the flooding. And then I thought about it that when we go to these communities, that's true, they're really very littered and dirty. So as against just giving them these cylinders and doing the advocacy, which is good, why don't we conduct an on-site sanitation exercise, whereby we give them the recycled the plastic bags, tell them about waste segregation, and ensure that they take the trash from their environment in exchange for the cylinder. And really that was just how the Trash for Gas initiative started.
We will recall that some time ago, there was a policy by Lagos State government tagged waste to wet. So what we have done with Trash for Gas is synonymous with the policy direction of Lagos State government on the need to sensitize our people, to educate them, to let them know that they have a role to play if truly we want to achieve the environmental agenda of Mr. Governor, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu.
So, just how does this process work? It's simple. Residents bring in trash plastics, containers, and empty cans which they pick from their environment. The waste is then sorted and swapped for gas-filled cylinders.
Quite honestly, the very first one that we did it with the local government, because the local government in Mushi that we dealt with, the local government chairman, Honorable Shola Ajala, very great man. He made all of that work and all that. Apparently in their local government, they have those trash trucks. So he was able to mobilize 2 of those trucks for us, because they already have some partnership with Loma, because every local government apparently has a Loma representative there, and that's the Lagos State Waste Management Authority. So they were able to bring their trucks to the venue on standby, and I'm sure we can share some videos with you and all that, So they were able to get all that trash, really well packed, put together, because we had educated the people on how they were going to do it, how they were going to tie it. We gave them the gloves, we gave them the 2 plastic bags, one for recyclables, one for all other trash and all that. So they were the ones that took it, with them, and then they are the ones that would dispose it. So it was after that we knew that, we had to partner with the recycling company as against just trashing them.
As a government too, we believe that by partnering with Smart Gas, we will use it to sensitize and educate them on the need to be responsible, to let them know that government alone cannot do it. If government is trying, if we are trying our utmost best to ensure we change the narrative we met on ground as regards the general state of our environment, we believe that the citizens, through the residents, must also play the role that is expected of them.
Over 370 residents of Odiolowo Ojuwoye community have so far benefited from this initiative, which is helping to keep a once notoriously dirty environment clean. Beneficiaries are excited and say the initiative has helped them switch from their conventional way of cooking with kerosene, firewood and charcoal to gas, a cleaner energy.
I want to thank Smart Gas for giving us trash for gas. I want to thank the Odiolowo Local Government LCD for giving us gas. And I want to appreciate our councillor, Awuno Adeosun, for everything he has done in our environment. Thank you, sir. Thank you, every one of you. I thank and I appreciate the Lagos State government too, and Madam Opeke, Dr. Opeke, for giving us this gas. From firewood to gas and from charcoal to gas. We thank you all for everything you have done about this gas.
I have never seen anything like what I'm seeing today. This is the first time in my life that I will see someone giving free gas cylinders. I appreciate their effort very much and wish them the best of luck in all their endeavors.
For the trash to gas, the last one that we did was the maiden edition, because we had to, like I said, prior to that, we had just been doing advocacy, whereby we're just giving away the cylinders. So that has happened since the inception of Smart Gas. But taking it a notch higher and holding all these neighborhoods accountable as well, kind of like telling them that you need to have skin in the game. You need to also show a level of commitment, to environmental cleanliness and all of that, because what you realize sometimes, a lot of them just feel that it's the government's responsibility to clean the environment, but the truth is it's a joint effort. So we still do on-site advocacy when we do all those kind of things. We tell them the health implications of living in a dirty environment, of using firewood, of using charcoal and all of that. So yes, so in response to your question, the one we did at Mushe was our official launch of the trash for gas to save the individuals. Yeah, usually women and children are the ones that are most vulnerable, and that of course on its own transitions into a cleaner environment, cleaner air quality, better soil, so that they don't put all the trash on the floor and all of. So it's a holistic approach, so we're not trying to say that we're Mother Mary or whatever it is, but the sector we find ourselves is the sector that promotes cleaner energy, and it's a global conversation right now. So we really feel privileged to be in that space. So of course, the CSR part of what we do is inclined towards cleaner energy, first for the recipients and then, for the environment.
But it's not all been smooth sailing. The CEO of Smart Gas speaks of bottlenecks associated with the Trash for Gas initiative.
Quite honestly, I wouldn't say there's a challenge that hits me in the face, quite honestly, because when you're giving out this thing, it's very rewarding when you see how people are, how you are impacting in your own little way and all that. I think it's really more of visibility for us to have the opportunity to partner with more people. And so pretty much, yes, I wouldn't say there's a challenge as a challenge, but there's a need in terms of collaborations.
She also reveals how she intends to sustain it.
We do a lot of partnerships. So partnership with state government, federal government, for private sector organization, high net worth individuals, celebrities, anyone who really wants to join the campaign. So at that point, it now becomes our responsibility as citizens, who will see yourself as more privileged, to see how you can help them without initial cost of transition. And then we can now talk about the refilling. I would say the greatest need will be for us to partner with more corporate organizations, state governments, federal governments, because most times you see them giving out palliatives as a way to cushion the effects of subsidy.
On the part of the chairman, Odiolowo Ojuwe Local Council Development Area, the Trash for Gas initiative promotes a cleaner and healthier environment.
If you bring your trash and you are giving gas, you know that within the period that you tidy your environment, you see the aesthetics of the environment. Before you clean it, you always see flies, mosquitoes, and what have you. But within the period that you clear it, there's no more mosquito, there is no more flies. Perhaps before you clear it, you visit hospitals maybe twice in a month or once in a month. And if you cannot avoid hospital, you visit the upsellers because of the effect of the mosquito that will give you malaria, fever, and what have you. So if you know that within that period you are not, it will get into you that indeed why we've been having mosquito, flies, and what have you. why I've not been enjoying the aesthetics of our environment is due to my attitude of not disposing my waste.
He also says initiative helps to empower the residents of his community.
It's another way to empower people. You can imagine a woman selling Indomie or a woman selling boli, or the Malam selling egg and bread, or the Igbo guy that is selling pop-off. It's possible that they know the inherent danger in the usage of charcoal and what have you, and firewood. But they stick to it because they don't have the means, monetary means, to get gas cylinders.
Just like the popular saying goes, health is wealth. We see from this story how Yinka Opeke's creative mind has helped a community transform a dirty environment to a clean one, empowering them in the same vein.
Wow, this initiative is so awesome. Indeed, there is a need for more creative minds like this in our different communities that can help reduce environmental degradation. Now, our next report tracks one of the most strategic roads in Mafoluku area of Lagos. We take a look at Bissam Street as well as neighboring streets which connect commuters and residents to the popular Murtala Mohammed International Airport. But as strategic as the road is, it's been in a very bad state for a long time. Together, let's follow this story.
Mafoluku is situated in Oshodi, Solo local government area of Lagos State. It shares a boundary with 7 and 8 bus stop along Airport Road. This is the closest residential area to Murtala Mohammed Airport. Bissam Street Road network was rehabilitated back in 2021. Less than 3 years later, it's gone terribly bad. It's the same story for most of the adjoining roads in the area, as they are in deplorable condition. Driving on this road when it rains is usually a nightmare. Residents say the rehabilitation was poorly done and that no form of maintenance has taken place thereafter.
This road, about 6 years back, this road happened to be one of the worst roads so far. But I could remember during the time when they do the Brown Road in Oshodi, that is the same government that commissioned this very road. So that this road was constructed about four or 3 years back. So, but they don't do it well. When they do this road, after three months, when they do this road, that is how everything is scattered back. They only pour sand on it. They do not do it well.
All we have been told is that they would come and fix the road. In fact, Honorable Kendo, the local government chairman, has promised to do just that. This route connects to the toll gate and is frequently used by commuters. We should at least benefit from the dividend of democracy. This is not how the path should be. We just have to put up with it. And the other nearby streets and the street lights are bad. Compared to the well-built drainage system in Ajibulu, the one on my street is poorly constructed. When it rains, the drainage system fills up, allowing water to enter my workplace. We then began to remove the water, which is not supposed to be so.
Traders are not left behind, as they say. the bad roads and drainage system affects their business adversely.
It affects our business. Some people, when there is a fall, when rain fall, they will not go out because of the way the road is. Even it is not workable. Not to talk of motorable. It is not even workable. Not to talk of, especially when there is rain. You will see that everywhere will be flooded. You know, so many people will not come out. Especially people that are using car, they will not come out. So it affects business. If there is a good road, business will do fine.
The bad road affects my business adversely. When it rains, a lot of accidents happen here, especially with motorcycles. Vehicles always break down as a result of this. Water even flows into my shop. People don't like passing here as they tend to fall down and the mud stains the uniform of children going to school. We are begging the government to help fix this road. It is not in a good state at all.
The hardship brought about by the bad road leaves dissatisfied residents urging the authority to come to their aid.
Now, as you can see this road now, it has not been like something that they are working on it. We believe that government have tried on this very road, but commission this road. But the people that they give them the contract eat the money. They couldn't do the proper work on this very road. As you can see the road now, everybody is suffering on it. And this is one of the major roads that leak to airport.
I have a restaurant in this street, this Oshindei. So the problem we are facing, especially this road, is during rainy season. If any day that rain fall, like you can see that down. No Okada will pass here. I will not have a customer. They will say if this place is full of water, so they cannot enter my shop. I will just remain there. So if government can help us to repair this road, even if I go to market during the raining day, Okada will not like to carry me to Oshinde. They will say, that street, no, I'm not going, no, that road is very bad. Or the ones that want to come, they will charge higher price because of the bad road.
One of the community leaders says they have approached the government and have been reassured that the road will be reconstructed.
They did 1 or 2 streets at Moka here, around the market some time ago. But we still complain that we need more to be done, especially from entrance on the airport here to the interland. So we are expecting something to be done, especially some strong long streets linking many roads. So that's why we feel that if you could do that, like Kalejai here, Kalejai Street to Abolaji, and then link to Ajibulu. Well, it's obvious that the roads
I'm Mr. Ladigun. The headline: Federal government operation. Of insecurity in Nigeria. And relief, according to the minister, across the scale up. That Tiwa has appointed Olusha the dead governor in politics, the former president. Welcome again to the program. The economic challenges in Nigeria continue to escalate as the latest report from the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) reveals a significant surge in inflation. The month-on-month increase of 0.87% from October 2023 to November 2023 contributed to a new record high in nearly 2 decades, with the headline inflation rate reaching 28.20% for November, which surpassed the October rate of 27.33%. Now, comparing the figures to November 2022, the year-on-year headline inflation rate witnessed a significant uptick, indicating an increase of 6.73 percentage points from the 21.47% recorded in the same month the previous year. Now, for food inflation, the NBS says its rate also increased to 32.84% on a year-on-year basis, which was 8.72 percentage points higher compared to the 24.13% rate recorded in November 2022. It said the rise was caused by the increase in the average prices of bread and cereals, oil and fat, meat, coffee, tea and cocoa, potatoes, yam and other tubers. The new record high in almost 2 decades emphasizes the urgency of addressing inflationary pressures, requiring careful economic analysis and potential policy adjustments to mitigate the impact of the cost of living crisis on the Nigerian population. For further discussion, economist Akin Ogunshola joins me to delve deeper into the recent surge in the nation's inflation rate. Thank you for your time, Dr. Ogunshola. Now, for the 11th time, the Consumer Price Index has moved from 27.33% the last time to 28.20% now. Is there any probability that this spike might stop soon?
For now, there's no concrete provision made by government to see to the reduction or the downward trend of the interest rates in Nigeria. We all know that on the part of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN is meant to roll out some monetary policies to help stem continuous rise in the interest rate. I said interest rates, in the inflation rate, in the economy. The CBN is meant to hold its MPC meetings quarterly. And we know that for the second time again or so this year, the CBN has postponed its monetary policy meeting. And it means that the next meeting will be till, first quarter of January. At these meetings, usually in the time past, the central bank is meant to look into the rates, the monetary policy rate, the consumer price, the other rates, lending rates, interest rates, and other rates. And then, either to increase the rates in order to help control inflation rates. But for the fact that central bank will not be having its MPC meeting till the first quarter of 2024, it means that nothing will be done on that for now. And also talking about, there are some other economic indices factors that also contribute to the continuous rise in inflation rate of an economy. For example, in Nigeria, we know that the food prices is what is actually driving our inflation high so fast. And also the cost of energy, the cost of fuel and diesel and gas is also a major, factor that is also, contributing to the continuous rise in our inflation. We know that Dangote refinery is maybe going to commence again very soon, but we don't even have any trust again. We've been hearing that news for a couple of times. They will soon start, but we are not seeing anything. But I think the end is in sight, the Port Harcourt refinery, so that we can have diesel produced locally. And also the crude oil that is being sold to Dangote, as we were told, is going to be sold to him in Naira. I don't know if the last 1 million barrel was actually sold to him in Naira. So if we can control the price of diesel, maybe produce more diesel locally instead of importing with dollars, that will also help to reduce inflation. But for now, we've not seen what government is doing practically to help stem the continuous rise in inflation rate.
Let's talk about food inflation, which is mostly felt by citizens. Now, despite many suggestions as to how to reduce it, it keeps increasing. Can anything be done to tame this incessant increase?
Yeah, I think one thing that can be done by government to help reduce food inflation, first of all, let me even take us back memory lane. Sometime in August, the federal government declared state of emergency on, food shortages, food scarcity. One approach that government did then was to open up the storage facilities for corn, for, maize, and some other foods, grains especially, to flood the market so that the price can actually come down. But we've seen now that government has not released any grains again into the market. So there's scarcity of grains that is also pushing the price up. Then we are also seeing hoarding of some of this foodstuff by some farmers. Some of them are hoarding in anticipation that the prices will go up, just the way they are hoarding dollars too now. So what government can help to do to reduce the food price is to release some grains, some storage food stock, by the government, to release some of these grains into the market in order to force the prices down. That's one. Secondly, I think what government has done for the diesel is not enough. Government removed VAT on diesel, but having done that, I think that has not helped because the price of diesel is still high, because it's only diesel they can use to transport this harvested agricultural product from the north, where we have the vast land, to the south. So these are some of the things that government need to do in order to stem continuous rise in food inflation.
In August 2005, the country's inflation rate stood at the same 28.2% as it does now. What were the measures taken back then which can be applied now that the festive season is here?
Oh, yes. What I believe that can be done, just like as I was saying, is that government needs to release grains, especially rice. This is the season people look for rice in the market. Government has storage of rice in some silos nationwide. Government should release some of these grains into the market so that when the supply, has flooded the market, it will force the price to actually come down. Also, one other policies that I wasn't comfortable with that the government did was to encourage importation of agricultural products that we're actually producing here in order to compete with the local market. And we know what the exchange rate is saying now. I think the exchange rate is still up to about 900. Just recently that it came down a little. So these are policies that actually goes against bringing down the inflation rate. But if government can release more grains, and possibly if government can ensure availability of diesel and fuel, because this is what will be used, in the transportation of these agricultural products from one place to another in this season. So these are the things that are contributing to the increase in prices of commodities in the market. So government need to work on some of these things to see that the inflation rate actually goes down.
All right, now the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has declared that the rise in exchange rates, or rather, should I say the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, that's Olayemi Cardoso, has declared that the rise in exchange rates and inflation in Nigeria is expected to reduce significantly in 2024. Now, these are just one of the many promises made by the government. What actions should be taken to ensure that this happens as planned?
Oh, well, I believe that the Central Bank governor is relying on the local refining of products and also the introduction of the CNG buses, alternative energy sources for government. I believe that's what the CBN governor is actually relying on. And that's why he's saying that the inflation will come down and also the exchange rate will also drop. He's just relying on Dangote refinery coming up and also the Port Harcourt refinery that will be, that will commence production from January next year. So I believe that's just what he's relying on. But I hope it actually happens. I just hope so, because just like you said, government has promised Nigerians severally, like the one of Port Harcourt refinery, they said December, but we're already halfway into December and going into the holidays. I don't know if December is still possible, but government is already saying till January again. So we don't know, maybe January they will still shift to February again. But I believe next year, 2024, before the end of the first quarter, I believe government should be able to achieve all these promises to Nigerians.
All right then, Dr. Akin Ogunshola, economist, many thanks for lending your thoughts. We'll take a short break. Money Matters will return shortly. Welcome back. Now, in furtherance of the business ties between Nigeria and Germany, the federal government has signed a memorandum of understanding, that's MOU, with German mining technology company Geoscan to explore accrued mineral resources across the country. Dele Alake, the Minister of Solid Minerals Development, disclosed this information during a press briefing after the Federal Executive Council's weekly meeting at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. He disclosed that the MOU was executed under the government's Solid Minerals Development Plan. Now, according to Alake, Nigeria's mineral resources are conservatively estimated at $700 billion underground, constituting about 0.02% of global mining. The SMDF has revealed Nigeria's mining sector boasts 44 different types of commercially viable minerals worth an estimated $700 billion. He added that the MOU aims to promote the development of Nigeria's solid mineral exploration, effective utilization, and responsible allocation of the generated income into the Nigerian government's treasury. Now, what measures should be taken to ensure this agreement benefits both countries? Akinade Olatunji, President, Nigerian Mining and Geosciences Society, is here to tell us. Glad to have you join me on the program, Mr. Olatunji. Now, sadly, the mining sector, the mining of minerals in Nigeria accounts for only 0.3% of its gross domestic product, due to the influence of its vast oil resources. Now, is this MOU going to be a game changer in reviving the country's mining sector?
First, let me make some clarification. The MOU is not between Nigeria and the German government.
Okay.
It is between Nigeria and a German company. And the company executive came along with the German chancellor when he came to visit the president.
Okay.
That was when the MOU was signed. The company is said to own the proprietary rights to a scanning method which makes exploration faster and cheaper than the conventional method. And generally speaking, anything that is going to make exploration faster and cheaper will of course be a game changer in the industry, because most of the bulk of the money often that goes into mineral development has to go into exploration, and this is a phase where so many uncertainties are attached. So the lesser the uncertainty, the quicker you can define the uncertainty, the faster you can resolve the uncertainty, the better for the exploration project. And of course, that will of course be a true game changer indeed.
So, in your opinion, what would you say are the key issues stalling Nigeria's mining sector's growth?
For those of us in the solid mineral sector, anything that is going to bring development is welcome. Any MOU signed with anybody, any company, any government that will promote activities in the solid mineral sector is welcomed, and it should be a positive thing. It shows that the solid mineral sector in Nigeria is beginning to attract people's attention globally, And when global players are beginning to come into your country to look at what you are doing, the funds follows them. And when the funds follows them, it can only mean investment. So the more investment we're able to invite into the sector through this kind of MOU, the better for the sector. Let me add, government cannot fund mineral exploration or mineral development on its own. We don't have the resources. Even government of the world that have the resources, they don't fund it with government resources. What they do is to create the enabling environment where private sector can flow in, and where private initiatives can actually drive the processes of exploration and exploitation. So for us in the geosciences and mining profession, whatever we attract attention to the sector in the right way is welcome. Whatever we bring a German company to be interested in working with the Nigerian government in fast-tracking exploration activity, of course, is welcomed. And I'm sure that news will have reverberated globally, and many investors, potential investors, will be looking towards what come out of the MOU, because it's not about the German company alone. The German chancellor, as I said, was also in the country where that MOU was signed. And of course, we all know that Germans are serious-minded people. They don't just go into signing MOU. They don't mean what they want to do. So for us, it's a positive development, and we hope the details of the MOU will become much more available for everybody to know very soon. But as I said, this is good. Whatever will bring attention to the sector, whatever will bring global attention to the sector, is a welcome development.
Right. So far, the federal government has assured it will wage war against illegal miners in Nigeria. In your opinion, how best can this be achieved?
Okay. There are plethora of issues. The first actually has to do with the lack of adequate resources. The solid mineral sector is capital intensive. And as I mentioned earlier, this is not something the government can afford to shoulder. Government that is looking for revenue to pay salary and to meet other needs cannot afford to spend the kind of money that needs to be spent on exploration activities. We don't have the fund. So that is the first major problem, funding. Most of the private operators are barely surviving because they have to depend on their own effort in sourcing for funds to drive their activities. And one of the biggest success story we have, which is the Tor Exploration Project, the Shegilola Gold Project in Malaysia, took a lot of time before they were able to raise the necessary finance to do what they are doing now. So mining sector is capital intensive, and the best way to do it is to get private equity and private financing for it. So that's number one. The key thing is issue of funding. Then number two is the issue of sufficient geoscientific data. You see, data costs money. Exploration data costs a lot of money. You are going to have to spend so much looking for something you may not necessarily get. As I mentioned earlier, the most difficult aspect of looking for mineral resources is to explore for it. And when you want to explore, you are looking at an operation that will last you several years, depending on the kind of mineral you are interested in. You will be spending money and you are not getting anything in return. And it is when you have done this due diligence, which we call exploration activities, that you're able to prove that, okay, you have sufficient deposits in an area which you can win at a profitable margin. So you can imagine it's not a business of making a 10 container load of goods, taking it to a Alaba market and selling and making your profit in less than a month. That is not the way the mining sector works. The mining sector is structured, and it is something that if you don't do it the way it is done, you will not get the appropriate return from it. So that we need enough geoscientific data. And as I said, government have done its best in stimulating this aspect, but government still have to do more by empowering the appropriate agency, which is the Nigeria Geological Survey Agency, to keep sending people into the different fields to gather geoscientific information, which will now arouse the interest of the big players globally that will now come and move it to the next level. So we need more geoscientific data, and geoscientific data costs money. And of course, unlike the kind of money you spend on constructing roads or constructing structures that everybody will be able to see, when you want to spend money on geoscientific data, except for those who are in the field, who knows the value, most of our decision makers will believe you are wasting money because they are not things that you physically touch. They are data data sets that you gather to make informed decision. And we don't like spending money on gathering data here in this part of the world. And that's why we have not developed the way we should develop. So we need sufficient geoscientific data, more and more geoscientific data needed to drive that sector. Then number 3, we also need to begin to put our foot down on adding value to the minerals we have. There are a lot of minerals that are being taken out of the country currently raw. We have advocated all along as professionals that should stop. Government needs to be intentional and deliberate about this. And I'm happy that both the president and even the minister in the last few months have emphasized this fact that henceforth Nigerian minerals will not be taken out unprocessed any longer. When you take a mineral out of the country, what you're actually doing, you're not taking a single mineral out, you're taking a composite mineral. People will tell you it's just lithium. No, there are associated minerals to that lithium. People will tell you it's just rock. No, there may be 2-3 minerals in that rock. So when you take it out of the country for processing in other countries, you are enriching those countries and you are making yourself poorer just because you don't want to delay gratification. You take a little chunk of the money you have. So we also need to be deliberate in insisting that whatever mineral that is won in Nigeria, exploited in Nigeria, should be processed in Nigeria. Let's add value to our minerals before we start selling them out. And of course, government have to do this and be deliberate about it. So if we are able to provide funding, if we're able to provide sufficient geoscientific data, and we're able to insist on adding value to our mineral sector, then of course that sector will indeed give us the due value that we deserve.
Going forward after the signing of this MOU, what elements do you think might pose as challenges in the successful execution, and what modalities do you think should be considered for the success of the agreement?
Oh, that is, I think I'm the wrong person you're asking that question. That question should be directed to government functionaries. They are the ones that signed the MOU, and they will know what needs to be done to allow the MOU to succeed. But just as an outsider and as a professional, what we are lacking in this country is consistency, and we lack consistency in policy execution. Now, this MOU have been signed. The minister is there now. The government is there. This is not something you can achieve in 1 year. If the minister changes portfolio next year, how are we sure that the next minister will follow suit in the same process? So most often is the lack of the political will on the part of government that makes most of our memorandum of understanding to fail, and also maybe most of our initiatives to fail. So I think we must be consistent in our policy pursuit. Yes, of course, there is no policy that is foolproof, that is perfect. We tweak it and make it better rather than throwing it out outrightly and starting all over. You see, the sector does not look favorable to those who are not consistent in policy. For instance, you say today that you are signing an MOU with a company that's going to help you in exploration, and the company brings in facilities, bringing materials, bringing the investment, and maybe somebody else become minister in 6 months down the road, 1 year down the road, 2 years down the road, where these guys are yet to even finish what they have signed to do for you. And somebody said, no, I'm not more interested in that. I want to go another route. People see you as not being serious. And that policy somersault had been the bane of our development in terms of area development and, of course, even the mineral sector. So we must be consistent. We have signed this MOU. All hands must be on deck. The government must make it work. The technocrats in the ministry must make it work. Every brick wall that is going to prevent this from working should be removed.
Well then, Akinade Olatunji, President, Nigerian Mining and Geosciences Society. Thank you, sir, for your time. And that's all on this episode of the program. Thank you for watching. See you again next time. Bye for now.
विदेश नजाने भन्दा नि आमाले चाहिँ पठाइदिनु भा जानुपर्छ धेरै कमाउनु पर्छ भनेर चाहिँ पठाउनु भा अनि साथीहरुसँग गयो साथीहरुसँगै नागरिकता बनायो सँगै पासपोर्ट बनायो अनि पछि जाने बेलामा एक्लै पर्यो म विदेश गएर चाहिँ घरको काममा भनेर पठाउनु घरको काममै परेको थियो अनि म त कति गएर बस्ने अब केही आउँदैन काम गर्ने साथीहरु चाहिँ कोही पनि थिएन म एक्लै त्यसरी 4.5 वर्ष कटायो 4 वर्षको स्यालेरी मैले पुरा पठाइदिए आउँदाखेरि चाहिँ 10 रुपैयाँ पैसा माग्दा नि आमाले छैन भन्नुभयो कुन मेन्ने मान्छेले नराम्रो गर्न थाले के छोरीको जात हुर्केर बस्यो यस्तो त्यस्तो भनेर भन्न थाल्यो अनि थाहा पाउने हो यो नि विदेश गएर आऊ भन्छ तर गएर के गर्ने मेरो गएको र नगएको एउटै छ भएन यतिकै बस्नु भन्दा एउटा केही गरेर बस्ने भनेर अनि म सिलाइबाट चाहिँ म गर्ने छु भनेर चाहिँ मैले भनेको थिएँ हजुरहरुलाई म तालिममा भर्ना भए सुरु दिनमा म गएँ अब सबैजना पढेको छ है अनि म चाहिँ पहिले डर लाग्थ्यो के लेख्न नि नआउने जति दिन गयो उति दिन मनमा आँट आउने के नआएको र आउने भयो अनि त्यसबाटै सुरु गरेर यहाँसम्म आए ठ्याक्क 1 वर्ष भयो पसल राखेर 4-5 वर्ष समय हुन्छ आफूले सिलाइबाटै गरेको कहिले चाहिँ त 100-200 भने नि हुन्छ अलिअलि आफूलाई मन लागेको ठाउँमा खर्च गर्न अब बच्चाले अब भोग लाग्यो भन्ने बित्तिकै आफ्नो बाटा गोलीबाट झिकेर दिन केही बाध्यदै जान परेछ भने सकेसम्म राम्रो आफूले बुझेर अब पढिसकेको छ हैन आफूलाई पढेर सबै कुरा भोगिसकेको छ सकेसम्म राम्रोसँग बुझेर यो तालिमबाट चाहिँ धेरै कुराहरु थाहा पाएँ विदेश जाँदा यसरी जाने यसरी नजाने सबै प्रमाण आफ्नो साथमा राखेर जाने त्यो बारेमा चाहिँ थाहा भएको मलाई यही ठिकै लाग्थ्यो सानैदेखि पाखा भएर होला है मैले यो पसल हिजो अस्ति भनौँ अस्ति दर्ता गरेर यो मेरो छोरीको नाममा दर्ता गरेछ यो यसमै थप्दै जाने यसमै बढ्दै जाने सकेसम्म
My name is Collins Abinoro Aporode, and I'm an artist. I create sculptures, lots of mixed media arts as well, and lots of drawing, but mainly I'm well known with my stainless cutlery sculptures. Professionally, I graduated 2012, and I immediately graduated. I started out into full-time studio practice because I've actually made up my mind from an early age what I wanted, and it wasn't difficult finding my feet or making the decision on where to begin, on how to start, or what I wanted. Immediately I left school. So as soon as I left school in 2012, I started out professionally. Stainless spoon sculptures, I actually started, my first piece was made in 2011 as a student in one of my exploratory courses, metal constructions. I stumbled into the material, and I never stopped creating since that time. As a child, I'm fascinated by life, the beauty of life, the beauty of creations, birds. I grew up in a rural environment, so I was largely inspired by the rural life. You know, we used to do a lot of bird hunting as a child. And I guess that started out my passion and interest in creating a lot of bird sculptures earlier on. I still do a lot of them till now anyway. To have evolved into more engaging pieces in terms of conceptualization and material usage and all that. But, so I guess my interest in the things that happens around me, my environments, natural phenomena, politics and all of that, part of the things that made up my interest in art. And of course, family life were part of the things that inspires everything I do. As a person, one of the things that actually struck me growing up, where I used to always ask myself the question, why do we think the way we do? Why do humans behave the way they behave? Why do the certain kind of people act in a certain way? Why are people having interest in certain things? So these puzzling questions are things that have resonated in my mind growing up as a child. And they are things I still constantly explore with my work, trying to understand human nature, trying to understand the spirituality behind our behavior, behind our temperament, behind who we are, what we aspire, what we think, why we act in a certain way. So there are a whole lot of things. That's why I could actually sum it up that say life is everything that inspires what I create and what I do. Growing up, the only art I think I saw earlier on were pieces of beaded clothing that were made by my mother. I think I grew up seeing about 2 of such clothes that she made as a young lady at that time. But apart from that, there were no other artistic background. But usually, when I had a conscious and realization that my mom did crafts like that, as a young lady, I think my energy was born out of her. I guess somewhere I had contacted the gifts from her. But apart from that, there were actually no artistic backgrounds growing up as a young person. Basic challenges when I started arts were, I'm a sculptor. As a sculptor, it's a bit more complex or a little bit more difficult for the sculptors to begin their career because they need a little bit more complex space, secluded space to be able to create whatever they want to create, especially as metal sculptors. The painters could actually make do with a small room, or a metal sculptor will require a secluded environment because of the hazardous nature of the materials, machines that they work with. So one of the basic challenges that I had was getting a studio space was a huge challenge for me, but nature has a way of always making things happen. I found help somehow by meeting some older friends who were able to guide me to introduce me to 1 or 2 persons that assisted me out to use a studio when I moved into Lagos, especially, Then the second challenge I faced were fun. I had lots of materials that I want to explore, a lot of ideas that I want to work on, but having funding was a major challenge. But when you have dreams, you always will find a way around to make use of every opportunity or access to materials that you can find at that point in time. So I've scaled through those early stages, and I've kept evolving. sourcing for my materials ain't so difficult. All I needed to do was to, of course, the first challenge was because I buy a lot of my materials, the cutleries, in bulk, in large quantities. You know, it's difficult a lot of time to find where to get them in the large numbers that I will get. Because some of my pieces will take 2,000 pieces of spoons, and some are over 3,000 to 4,000 pieces of spoons. So it was initially very difficult being able to find a place where I could get the large numbers of the materials that I wanted. But over time, I was able to stumble upon a couple of places where I can source for most of the materials that I wanted. Then, of course, because my materials are welded, they are metal, stainless metals, they are all welded together. You know, so one of the most important things, apart from having a material, is lights, power. You know, and power is still a challenge. You know, because it's always not there where you need it. You know, and art not being an engineering or a mechanical process. You know, it's more of an artistic drive or intuition. Sometimes it comes where you least expect. When you least expect it, you know. So it was difficult because there were no lights. Sometimes we had to wait till when you have power to be able to work. You know, so that would slow down my work process a lot of time. You know, but somehow I've been able to make do with the generator. You know, an alternative, you know, to the national grid. But still, power is, you know, not just was, but it's still a challenge. You know, to the work pace and how quickly you could achieve some things. The only thing I can always say to the system is get the system working, you know, and I usually will believe that why some persons will believe that young people or Nigerian youth are lazy, but I've looked around me. I'm a young person, I look around me a lot of time and I don't find anybody that is lazy. I only find people that are limited, whose hands are tied. They want to do things, they want to get things done, but their hands are kind of tied. Same people whom are supposed to be lazy leave this environment and they become something else. They are transformed, you know. So it's not the young people that have the problem. It's a system that has been designed, you know, to reduce or to weaken the strength of the young people, you know. So once the system is working, once the facilities are working, every other thing will fall into place. My smallest pieces will take 3 weeks. Some pieces will take 3 weeks. There are some that takes up to 2 months, 3 months. I've had a piece that ran through a period of almost about 7 months, depending on the complexity of the piece. You know, not just the practical work, the studio work, but there are a lot of thought processes that goes most time before the work is done. Because it's one thing to create a beautiful bird, but it's another thing to be able to evoke into that piece what people can connect with, you know, because art is not just the visual representation of an image, but it's about passing out messages. It's about encoding messages into these pieces that people can connect with. After the creation of my first spoon sculpture, which was incidental, you know, as a result of exploratory classes that we had, where we were pushed to try to think beyond the conventional mediums that we were familiar with at that time as students, you know, I kind of fell in love. I fell in love with the pure nature of the material, you know, and it's kind of having its effect in my work as well, where I fall in love naturally with materials that are stainless feel, you know, because they have this pureness of spirit, they have this pureness of their soul, you know, so I naturally will connect, and it's difficult for me to think out of it. You know, of course, when you're in love with anything, you want to go miles, 1,000 miles with them. I'm a highly visual person, highly pictorial person. And every day of my life is lived flipping through pictures, either hard copies or mentally, you know. And because it's become a thing that is embedded into my soul, it's difficult not to live any moment without having a flash of information. I call them flash of informations because they are materials that constantly will come into my memories. Some can be visible, almost visible sometimes to me, you know. And because it's something that I constantly think about, when I look at my visual concepts or ideas, you know, I can almost literally see my materials on the sketches, on these ideas. I can almost literally see it, you know. And when I work, it's almost, I literally will see how the material should be manipulated. I literally will see it. I could feel it on my hands. I hold my materials and it almost tells me what to do. You know, how to twist, how to manipulate. You know, how to create a bends or create a movement or a form. You know, so it's something that you know, life is an embodiment of energy. You know, and whatsoever that will make a part of us, that will receive into us. You know, we exchange information. You know, so I've been able to create that sort of network, that connection between myself and the material, that I can literally create anything with it. The most difficult part of my work is the thought process. The creative process right now, it's really not difficult. You know, what I see in my process when I begin to transform from the mental picture into a visual picture are basic challenges. You know, basic challenges which can be sorted out with a little bit of your technical know-how. You know, so once the mental process is defeated, the real thing, transforming from that mental process into the visual process, ends really a problem for me at this moment. Earlier on, there used to be problems because there are times when I create to certain points and I realize I'm informed into what I had wanted and I have to break down and do this and do that. But because I've been able to conquer a certain level, you know, of my creative process, you know, transforming into visual form ends really much of a process of a problem. My dealings at the moment is being able to create a stronger mental picture of my work, being able to create arts that will speak more to people, that will connect more to people, that would say the right things, that people will see and kind of connect stronger with them. Limelight. I'm really not at my peak. I've not hit the level that I want, you know, because I'm constantly pushing myself. You know, the world is an open place now, so you cannot be limited to what you see around you. You know, I'm just this one person that is never satisfied with myself. I could achieve a feat today, and I open my eyes, I close my eyes and open them again, and it's like I've not done much, I've not done anything. You know, and there's still so much I want to achieve. So I think I've done a lot, I've achieved so much. I've been able to set new standard for people, for artists, for creative people, and challenge a lot of people. But I've still not hit the level that I want to hit. I still create to be, if you're counting artists in the world, I still want to be counted among the top 10. I still want to be top in Africa. Still want to be able to push the stories of Africa into the global scene. So there's still so much, that I want to do. A lot of people have constantly used spoons, but not at the dimension that I'm working with them. I think it's basically breaking barriers and creating new design patterns with the material. Most of the early pieces that I came across were basic designs with the material, which a lot of them are really not detailed forms and characters, But I've been able to take it beyond just that basic level of making beautiful patterns with the spoons into more like having a signatory right to the medium where I can almost achieve anything. Human forms, animal forms, abstract forms, almost anything with the medium. So it's basically shifting it from where I think I saw some people work with the medium into where I want to see people would take it further, maybe from where I've been able to get to. Currently, there's massive interest in my work. One of the challenges that I faced growing up as a young person when I made the choice to want to do art were the questions from my parents about if I would be able to make a living with art. But I have a family. I run a studio. I do stores. So that tells that I can make not just more than a living with art. And because my works are unique, there is a lot of interest in my work. There are a lot of people who want pieces. So the response I'm getting from my work right now is mind-blowing. And of course, there's still so much more. Basically, at the beginning of my career, I actually could not cope dealing with galleries at the start of my career. So I relied massively on social media to expose my work. And from there I've been able to connect with a large audience, from people not just from Nigeria but outside the shores of Nigeria. So social media was a major tool to getting exposure, and of course meeting people one-on-one, and there are people who will see my stuff on different spaces and they will connect and place a call through. There are people who will recommend, my work, having had an experience before, but one of the major tools that brought me into good light was social media. When I moved in Lagos, of course I created a piece and I wanted to connect to a couple of galleries to try to sell. And my first outing, I never liked the response that I got. I am passionate about what I do, and one of the first things I look out for is not just to buy the art, but to be able to create a dream with it. I want to do stuff with people that can push me beyond my limits. People who are able to dream, that share bigger vision from what I do and for me than I think, never less than.
International Trust Bank and Union Bank Nigeria PLC. The London Business Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Country OPEC says its 2.2 million barrels a day expectations for economic growth in 2024 is expected to play a defining role in shaping global demand and supply in the global market. OPEC emphasized the economic growth seen in the first 3 quarters this year in most key economies has been better than expected. The global state Russia has reopened its embassy in Burkina Faso after a gap of nearly 30 years. Saudi Women's Premier League goal of the month. Trump was nominated for her second goal in Al-Ittihad's 6-2 win against Al-Ahly. The centre-back scored a hat-trick in the first half of the game. But that's all on the newsroom. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it. Use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
It's been 42 years now since St. Ambrose's Catholic Secondary School was established by the Catholic Church before it was taken over by the government. Several students have passed through the 4 walls of the school, just as several administrative staff have come and gone. But the one thing that has remained largely unchanged is the infrastructure and teaching facilities in the school. Year by year, things got worse. Classroom buildings began giving way. The classrooms themselves became inconducive for both teaching and learning. Things were literally in an abject state.
We have been managing teaching even when the rain is falling, the rain will be falling inside the classroom. We cannot abandon teaching. At times we mass students together when there is no conducive classroom. During the tenure of the past principal, Mr. Ogunbadejo Fola. So when he came to the school, he discovered that things will not be going on like this. So many classrooms are leaking, some roofs have even off, some buildings are collapsed. The parents are not able to do anything concerning it. So we be folding hands. Then every year, The roofing had been taking away a lot of money. So he now decided to go spiritual by calling upon God. So every Thursday of every month, we used to gather together, spending 30 minutes, calling upon God. So we look for the names of some old students. We got the name from one of the old students called KK. We wrote their name on the pieces of paper. During the prayer time, we raised the name up. God to compel them to come.
Either by divine intervention or mere coincidence, something happened. One of the old students of the school decided to pay a visit. Multiple award-winning journalists, Deji Bademosi, graduated from school 26 years ago as the senior prefect